Stealing Focus!
Hi, hello everybody. Welcome to our Stealing Focus Real Thoughts. I'm Emily Clark, and these are our special guests. We have no Trip and no Gerald. They're off doing other things. But
very difficult to get short notice.
Our Roger and Maureen are here. Jeff, Scot, Carey, and Pam Quinn. And we are here because we just saw The Greatest Showman. And we have thoughts. What do we
thought?
We have thought.
A collective thought.
Well,
we liked it.
We liked it. I went to a press screening a couple weeks before it opened, and I was told that the movie was 2 hours 15 minutes, but when we got in there, they say this movie is 1 hour 45.
Whoa!
And it felt like it.
It was controversial.
Cutting room floor.
There was a lot. I felt like there was a lot left on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
That would have explained a lot. See, my two biggest problems with the film were the book and, well, I guess this kind of goes in with it, but the dialogue. The book and the dialogue really were elementary compared to what the performances and the music brought to the piece.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah, I always say, like, 90% of the time, in my opinion, if a musical sucks, it's because the book sucks. It's kind of like how I feel about Newsies the movie. Like, you kind of just want to watch the musical numbers and fast forward through the scenes. You know? It's not like the worst thing in the world.
It wasn't trash by any means.
No.
But it just wasn't... elementary is the best way I can... Like, there were holes. There were obvious
Well, it
holes.
was trying to do a lot of things. I mean, like I always say that musicals are really hard. You know, Pasek and Paul have this pop score that goes against period, which is
it's
fun.
an anachronistic score by
Nights Mulan.
Yeah.
I had so many Moulin Rouge flashbacks.
But again, Moulin Rouge, you know, using existing material, they're using pop songs that actually, you know, exist.
With
This
a
is a new
historically
musical.
inaccurate situation.
Oh, yeah.
Just like
we can get into all of
But you set that up at the beginning. You accept it as the convention of the musical.
Yeah.
So that I didn't have a problem with that. I mean, obviously, I did have a problem with the story. As you said, a lot of stuff probably ended up on the cutting room floor. It definitely did. We lose a lot of development between relationships.
Well, the biggest thing, and see, this was the good thing about seeing it a second time, is that when I saw it this time, I really felt the cutting room floor when it came to Zendaya and Zac Efron's. I felt it when it came to Zendaya and Zac Efron's relationship, and I made sure this time to pay attention. They exchanged 2 or 3 lines of dialogue with each other, some lingering looks, then they're holding hands. Then she's like stomping at him like, this is me.
Well, the first time he sees her, he is in love with her by sight. This is love at classic love at first sight.
And that's convention. That's
so
a musical
we
theater
don't
convention.
necessarily need the dialogue exchange moments because we've accepted that they have fallen for each other based on sight.
It doesn't mean people don't laugh in the movie theater.
No, yeah.
Slow motion.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's
I love her so much.
Oh my god. Well, let's talk about the stuff we liked first, and then we can nitpick some stuff. So obviously we really liked the score and the soundtrack.
Catchy tunes.
I'm gonna pull this
catchier
up so
the
I can look
second
at it.
time around.
Emily's seen it twice and actually got to hang out with Hugh Jackman.
Cut to photo of me with Hugh Jackman.
And
but I also met Ben Pasek, and Hugh Jackman interviewed him, and he had a lot of really interesting stuff to say. Like Pasek and Paul, they did a lot of they focused on making it a pop score, but they also really looked into older Broadway scores, like from the 50s and 60s. And I think that actually shows because unlike Moulin Rouge, or a lot of movie musicals, it's not just like song, song, song. There are reprises, there are themes incorporated into the score, and that's what a musical does, and I like that.
Yeah,
I think
and it
that's
was original. It was an original musical.
Right,
Yeah.
which is different from Moulin Rouge.
Right.
I really liked, so what I've been saying over and over is that if I was 15, I'd be obsessed with this movie. There's so much like middle school, high school Broadway fangirl fan service. Like,
do you feel that same way, Pam? If you looked at
I feel like I would probably be closer to my current age being obsessed with this. Just because I look at Hugh Jackman and I'm like, what can't you do?
Yeah.
Oh, he's a freak.
You're phenomenal. And then there's a mini Hugh Jackman in Efron.
Okay,
He's
and
just
like,
phenomenal.
and also Hugh Jackman interviewing Benj Pasek. He's great at interviews too. Like, he's just great at asking. There's
Not
nothing
surprising.
that he can't do.
Not surprising, of course. He is.
It was really great to see Zac Efron at the end, like dancing with a bunch of people behind him next to a Disney Channel star. It was like Troy.
Well, we're big. See, we tend to kind of fall in love with things that younger people are supposed to. So we were like huge high
It's a
school musical
secret.
fans in our like late 20s.
Also we like knew some people in it, and we'll talk about High School Musical. There's a lot we
okay,
can talk about.
so things that we liked, obviously,
Hugh.
the two
Hugh
lead-
Jackman.
Hugh Jackman and
Zac Efron.
both
Efron.
fantastic.
I love it because Hugh Jackman obviously has done musicals forever,
life.
and Zac Efron, like, he's done musicals his
He
whole life.
came out onto the scene dancing and, well, Andrew Seeley was singing. But he
only in the
caught up.
first one. Only
He
in the
caught
first
up.
one.
He
Yes.
caught up.
Well, I feel like if you're producing this type of musical, this is a huge undertaking. You have to have that name recognition, that face recognition.
Sure.
You have
And
to have
Zendaya
that.
was
You
good.
have to
Okay,
have
can we
that.
talk about her for a second?
Yeah.
Because it did not occur to me that she was Mary Jane in Homecoming, Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I was like, when did she become a woman? And I think she is a quadruple threat.
Yeah.
This one is incredible.
I love their duet. Their duet is like their trapeze duet.
While we reach for
Rewrite the stars.
Oh, Reach is High School Musical.
But that was definitely a moment like where that little like tween fangirl was coming out, and me, like, I was just sitting there like, I want a boyfriend and I want to be loved. And I do have a boyfriend, but like, like
Roger.
Roger.
That scene was fantastic. I gotta say, like,
She did her own stunts.
and it was beautiful. Like,
Quadruple.
everything about it was shot wonderfully. That was a big A+ for me.
I have to say, this is one of the few times that I did not mind that the CGI animals looked like cartoons.
Because you don't want to see circus animals.
Because I
Circus
really
animals.
don't want to see circus animals, but being like, oh, that's obviously a cartoon
I
lion.
know, okay, you could accept it more.
How about,
accept it more.
he shows up at the end on an elephant in the snow and just kind of leaves it there.
He's like, God, that
See you
bothered me
later.
so much. I know, I had to be like, cartoon elephant, cartoon elephant.
There's nobody there like to
Someone's
look
gonna
at the
steal
elephant.
that elephant
It's
and not
cold.
raise it
Elephants
right.
don't
The
live
elephant's
in
just
the. They
gonna
don't live
die.
in the snow. You can't have an elephant in
Nobody
the snow.
knows how to
That
nurture
size
an
of elephant, it needs a lot.
How did we feel about Michelle Williams?
Okay, so I know this is a super controversial issue, but I'm just going to say confidently, I thought she was fantastic. I know that
Are people not liking her?
Well, there's been a lot of controversy about her voice, and I keep listening to Tightrope, and I'm like, girl sounds great.
Yeah.
She sounds great. And yeah, she's got a support from the orchestra and maybe some vocal
They
support.
pump up the orchestration and
echo
reverb it a
helps.
little, but like it's not.
She's so good.
Yeah.
And beautiful, and
And she's just such a good actor.
She really is. It could have been like one of those like really stereotypical performances. Like if you get the wrong actor for that role.
Yeah.
She's really good
Yeah,
at
no.
feeling genuine.
I agree. I was impressed with her.
There are some people out there who are probably really jealous of how good she is, considering where she came from.
Get back in your rowboat, Katie
It's okay.
Holmes.
It's okay. It's gonna be fine.
Oh, we'll
But
talk.
that foundation, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
she has come a long way.
Oh my
from
God.
Dawson, from the Creek.
Yeah.
She expresses a lot on her face with just the slightest
Eyebrow
movement.
twitch?
Like she just does these little. She's
great.
just made to be a
She's
movie
great.
star. That
I know what
duet.
you're gonna say.
That duet with Zac Efron and Hugh Jackman. That's Boner Jam 17.
And the bartender, can we not leave
The
him out?
bartender!
He was so
Fantastic.
good.
By the way, how about the good old-fashioned drinking in this movie? There's a lot. Of
Good
It made me want to
Lord,
shot.
that song they would have been dead. But like,
I think they did 15 shots each. Maybe I lost count.
Well, that's why he agrees to join the circus.
right. But it was so great to see them like singing and dancing together.
Yeah.
Just
Good match.
the other thing I learned is that Hugh Jackman got a vocal coach so that he could sing pop.
Patters.
Well, pop
There was a lot of pop patters.
There is. Well, and just like even that song from now on, he was.
My eyes will not be
Yeah,
blind.
he was full on like in the mask, no vibrato, and that is not the Hugh Jackman I know.
It's
Hugh
true.
Jackman is very classical, like legit baritone,
Right.
and this was him. Like, I mean, he was Mwah!
There wasn't as much of a trace of Valjean in this.
Right.
It was very...
Honestly, if he sang "Bring Him Home" like that, he might have been able to mix
I know,
it up.
putting the mask, that's the hard thing about Bring Him Home. You gotta sing
I
it
know.
softly.
This is me. I mean,
She's an alien. Her voice is amazing.
Yeah.
Who hits those notes? What are those notes?
I know. She was great.
That was my favorite song of the film.
Well, it's the anthem.
It was
Yeah.
pretty awesome, and she was fantastic.
Yeah.
I don't pay too much attention to all this stuff, so I didn't realize that she'd become like a big sensation.
Well, she was in Waitress, I think, on Broadway.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've all seen the video of her singing that song in the stage reading. By the way, watch that because it's really fun to spot the Broadway star they had do it for the reading. Because for the movie they had to get movie stars, but for
not
that,
even just
it's
that.
really fun.
Just they tell you the story about how he had a cancer spot removed, Hugh, and they didn't want to call out the studios to not see Hugh sing, but his doctor said you can't sing. So he was standing every time was it Jeremy Jordan?
It's Jeremy Jordan.
Every time
Jeremy Jordan
is singing for Hugh's part, Hugh stands to let you know this is the showman's part. But in that last song, you gotta watch this clip because he just couldn't. He had to sing.
But see, I'm talking about the Kiala Settle one.
And that one is, and she
and then
pushed
at
that
the
music
end,
stand away.
And then at the end, they walked up to her and they said, "You just got your first movie role." It's not on the video.
That was like her audition?
But it wasn't her audition, so it was the reading, and it was a thing where they had been talking. Yeah, exactly. And so it was a thing where they were like, "Okay, we're going to pitch it with all these Broadway people, and then we're going to get movie stars for the movie." And Hugh was saying, like, there were people they were reading for that part, and after that performance, the director or producer went up to her and was like, "You just got your first movie role."
Beautiful.
What a feeling.
Crazy, right?
What pipes? I mean, come on, she did.
Any other good stuff we want to? I mean, the choreography is great.
Yeah.
I love that you can see the choreography. A lot of it. That nice shots where you can actually enjoy what they're doing. Unlike Moulin Rouge, which was edit.
The cinematography was excellent.
Yeah.
Seamus McGarvey is the cinematographer. Seamus McGarvey did an excellent job.
Seamus McGarvey.
Good old Seamus.
I was just looking, and fun fact, I wanted to confirm this. So the guy who was like, "Y'all are freaks," the leader of "Y'all are freaks," clap the crowd. That was and I knew it. I was like, that guy, I've seen him before. It was Schuler Hensley. I think I'm saying it right. Schuler Hensley. And he was Judd in Hugh Jackman's Oklahoma from '99.
God, he will never not play a dick.
Nice.
He will never not play a dick. So I wonder if he was like, "Come here,
sure.
Shula, I'll give you a job. We'll give you a role."
Pay the community back.
You're gonna be the biggest asshole in the film.
And then, right?
And then to the Herald guy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, also, I think it's really funny that they all, why did they buy tickets just to boo them?
Yeah.
They show up in the theater,
That's
and they're
true
all there watching the show, booing
That
them.
is a dedicated heckler right
Cut
there.
to the Simpsons clip right there. But also, the guy playing little P.T. Barnum's dad was Will Swenson.
Right.
Broadway star Will Swenson, who's married to Audra McDonald.
They could have done a better job
Fun
aging
fact.
him up a little bit. He was basically the same age from when he was this tall.
But that's not the biggest problem.
Okay, so we can move
No,
into...
it's not the biggest problem. Definitely not.
So, yeah, let's move into problematic things.
Yeah.
What the fuck is up with Tom Thumb and that uncanny valley face?
Oh.
He looks so weird, and it's like he looks okay. It's like all that CGI they did in Rogue One.
Yeah.
It's like he's okay when he's still, and then he talks, and it's like
There's a delay in the movie.
and then they cut away from it immediately, and they let him finish the line. So it's really funny when "This Is Me" happens. We're getting into the book here again. Because that song starts, and I think to myself, I don't know anything about any of you guys.
Except maybe the bearded woman a little bit.
Bearded lady, Tom
we
Thumb
got
a
in.
little bit.
We got in her.
That's it though. And
But we never heard her story or anything. She just has a beard.
Well, you made it.
She was washing.
We were walking
washing
out of the theater, and you mentioned this phrase really hit me because you said that it feels like they dipped their toe in it. And it felt like that with a lot of stuff. They were just trying to make a point, but they didn't go all the way
I would have
there.
liked more on the freaks.
They could have,
I'd
there was a
more on
real
the
opportunity
freaks.
there to do something really outrageous and awesome.
So they basically they have Zendaya and the guy who plays her brother. Don't remember his name or anything because again he's barely a character.
Oh, we don't want to say one more good thing that happened.
Yes, please do.
Never enough. Lauren Allred, who won The Voice, sings,
for Jenny Lind.
Sings this song, and everyone in the movie theater and in the theater in the movie are just silent. It's so good.
It's a really good song.
Incredible. And Rebecca Ferguson sold it. Like,
Yeah.
I can't picture it not being her voice.
Yeah.
Right.
And
So
she's
that-
great
so
too.
throw out
She's
that.
really great.
Yeah.
It kind of bugs me that they take Jenny Lind, who's kind of a star in her own right, and kind of just make her the other woman.
But now you
They
know.
never had any kind of relationship like that, and they worked
The
together.
historical
for-
inaccuracies didn't bother me so much because of what they were setting up. Some of it
Yeah.
was so fanatical
Yeah.
that it didn't bother me.
It was funny because, like, I don't always eat popcorn in the movie theater, but we were kind of hungry, so we got this big old popcorn thing. At the beginning of the movie, I'm like, oh, it's like, this is a popcorn movie. This
Yeah.
isn't, like, meant to be, like, a biopic. Where
Right,
you're
right,
really
right.
super thinking about it. It's like,
Yeah.
Fun,
Well,
entertaining
I-
show. They're lying to
yeah.
us. That's the whole point.
I mean, there are elements that you can see that they're trying to make. There's points that they're trying to make, which clumsily at times, forced at times. If like
Yeah.
I feel like the spirit and the heart was there, but maybe again, cutting room floor is always a problem. Running out of
I'm
time.
dying to- well-
how many people how many producers are like, well, this has got to be shorter. It's got to be shorter. So you never know what the filmmakers are going through.
yeah.
Well, and I remember in the trailer, specifically in the trailer, there's a scene where Zac Efron or Hugh Jackman's like, it's show business.
Yeah, they cut that.
And Efron's like, what's show business?
It's a
And he
great
goes,
line.
I just made it up or
It's a
something.
great line. But they must have figured everybody's seen that in the trailer. Just move along.
No, who knows?
Sa-
There could
saved
have
that
been.
3.2
There's
seconds.
30 minutes of cutting room floor.
Yeah,
Like, I mean,
at least.
But on the other hand, I didn't want it to be longer.
Right.
But like, for example, instead of cutting Zendaya and Zac Efron's development, why didn't they just cut the critic? I wonder if he had stuff on the cutting room floor, because they kept having scenes with him that I thought were going to build to something where they'd have some kind of
Pointless.
point to it, and then they just sit down and he's like, Jenny Lynn's leaving.
So you're not so bad. No, it
Not
was really,
pointless,
really bad.
but they failed at the
Yeah.
Like, they could have cut that and completely cut his character and kept development for Zac Efron and Zendaya. I don't remember their character names, you guys. I'm sorry.
It felt like something that they wanted to have in the film to prove at the beginning that Barnum is up against the world. He's basically his
I get the
antagonist,
need-
but it's
the
just
need of the
it
critic.
was not done well, and it was
And the actor was not my favorite.
it was so boring. Those scenes were so predictable and so just not well written.
There were
well developed.
so there were a lot of
It's kinda
scenes
funny.
that felt like they were from like a Disney Channel movie,
Yeah.
like with like the dad being like, "My daughter will be back," and like
Fraternizing with the help.
Okay, so this is what I want to get into with you, like you just said, the dipping the toe into it thing. It's like Zendaya and the brother, they're trapeze artists, but that's not their freak. Their freak is that they're black.
Yeah.
Because that's and that's because the movie tells us that. But they never say black. The closest they come is Shuler Helmsley says spook. And then Efron's parents come in and they're like, "What are you doing with the help?" And she's like, "Are people like me invited?" And it's like,
Yeah, that
okay,
sounds pretty rough.
it's the 1880s or 90s. You know, we're like 20 or 30 years out of the Civil War. Like, we can say it, we can point this out, and they kind of don't.
Well, I think stylistically, though, it does fit with the contemporary feel of the film. It might have felt a little out of place. It might have felt a little like you said, for the kids, they watered it down a little bit. We get the point. It just that stuff wasn't well done either to me. I felt like it was
The dialogue
nail in the head.
was terrible.
Yeah, the holding hand
Watching
thing.
Jenny
And then he
Lynn.
stopped
But even
holding
before
her
that,
hands.
is that the first time?
Yeah, that's the
The
Okay.
first. They have
Yeah.
a scene where she's like, everybody's got an angle, and then he's like watching her a few times, and then they're at Jenny Lynn's concert holding hands,
Yeah.
and then people look at them,
Yeah.
and then she's all dancing like, "This is me. You can't accept me, man. Whatever." And it's like, how did we get here?
I mean,
But if we're going to
It
go
wasn't
back
well
to the
developed.
historical inaccuracy of it, she wouldn't even dare be pissed at him for rejecting her. That's what life was. Like, that's what it was. She wouldn't be like, "I can't believe you just did this and
Yeah.
rejected me. This is me. I'm not going to change." She would be, it's so accepted that is the norm. I just
Yeah.
feel like her explosion of anger was
But
unwarranted
the world of
historically.
this film didn't really live
Right,
in that.
exactly.
It didn't live
Which
in
is
that.
why
It
I
lived in a
can
contemporary
forgive so
place.
many other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah, I
Except for
mean,
the elephant. No good on the elephant.
No, we're not accepting the elephant.
it's
The
this
abandonment.
weird like back and forth I have with it. On the one hand, I kind of understand it from both sides, but then I kind of like, Well, maybe that's just the book then. Maybe it's just like they should have just picked a lane and went like gone totally like completely, anachronistic, or just gone.
But I'll tell you what I loved about the book. And that's a hard word for me to use about this book. But I loved the skeleton outline of his character with his wife and family, Jenny Lynn's introduction, her trying to seduce him going back to his wife. I liked that.
I liked that she was sympathetic, though. That Jenny Lynn was sympathetic. That she wasn't the other woman. Yeah, she was genuinely like falling in love with him.
She fell in love with him, and how could you go on a tour? How could you continue to do that? But in real life, she actually donated like all her proceeds from that tour to charity, and then left because it was too exhausting for her. The road, being on the road. That's the truth.
So it's just a minor tweak. It's a Hollywood thing.
Minor tweak. They're in love.
Yeah, big thing.
Minor tweak.
And I liked the daughters. I liked the little girls. They're cute. I have to say, okay, so this is the real nitpicky, like, theater nerd person. Like, I bet there's some theater people out there who felt the same way. I had, like, 2 big nitpicks. One is that little girl started taking ballet on point before she'd ever even taken ballet. And I was like, she's gonna ruin her feet. You can't start on point. You can't do that. And also, as much as I really like that Never, Never song, they keep saying she's an opera singer, and there's nothing about her that suggests opera. Now, I'm not saying that she should have been, horns, but even people who don't know anything about opera can, like, if you said to anyone on the street, do your impression of an opera singer, they do that, like, in the back of the throat thing. And I don't even know how they could have fixed it, maybe just calling her a singer.
Yeah, that's what
But they kept saying, opera singer.
Yeah.
She was in La Scala. And then she's like,
the reason why I didn't have a problem with that is because
it's the Knight's Tale
the convention that we accepted already.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a nitpick.
No, but I agree with you. And yet, I feel like I have to accept it because of the world that they put us in.
Exactly.
So it's like, fine.
Fine. Is there anything that you guys really, like, freaking hated?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't like her father character.
Oh, God.
So over the top. So over the top.
How did little P.T. Barnum get letters from her when he was homeless?
Where was the mailbox?
How was he getting? Did he have a P.O. box? Like,
I like to think that elephant's been around for a while, and he just carried the messages.
Wow, elephant.
He just found him in New York.
Genius. Why didn't I think of that? You're so smart. Yeah, I had a problem with that. I mean, I had a problem with some of the directing. Like, there were scenes where
some of it.
I felt like
he had a big ship ahead.
He did. And so listen, like, it's a brilliant idea. Like, P.T. Barnum, one of the most well-known names in our society and history, he's changed the world of entertainment for sure. A lot of people don't know much about him. Like, I feel like other than
there's been like a spike in people researching him.
Yeah, sure.
Movie, which I think is great. Like,
that is great. We're reading the true versus false of the film. Yeah. We're learning that way.
But if you're gonna set out to make a big musical, this is great subject matter. This is really good subject matter. The time and place, all even though they stylized it.
Yeah.
You get Hugh Jackman. That's a huge win. So I agree. It's a lot of pressure on our director, Michael Gracie.
He's got his notes there.
Good for you, Michael Gracie. I just felt and God bless him, it's a really hard thing to do, but I feel like he fell asleep at the wheel.
This was one of his big. This was his first big film, though.
Yeah. For his first big film, and
to tackle a musical, original musical.
Yeah.
I give him a lot of credit for what came out, but I agree there were definite flaws that shouldn't have been overlooked, and they were.
I mean, and it's hard to blame the actors either. Like, for instance, when Zac Efron has his really passionate sticking it to his parents, it was such a foregone conclusion that it was almost like we were just waiting for the scene to be over.
It was
you know what I mean? And like
there are a lot of predictable moments.
That takes away from him. He's really working it. But it's like everybody's kind of laughing in the seats because
the dialogue
so forced.
It's
so forced and so obvious the whole time.
And the part where Charity leaves and then he's in the bar, I was like, and here we're at the low point at the top of the third act, and the friends are all going to cheer him up, and he's going to get everything back.
And it was all you guys. I did it for you. And now
that part was really by the numbers, really structured.
And what's fascinating is that P.T. Barnum could be, and who knows, maybe they'll delve into this when there's the inevitable stage version of this, when they have 2.5 hours on stage.
I can't wait to see it.
But he, P.T. Barnum is a controversial figure in a lot of ways because he did create the freak show, and there are good and bad things to say about the concept of a freak show itself, and he was exploiting people.
Oh, 100%.
And I think
in this movie he was exploiting people too.
And the thing is, like, he could have what people? You mean in the movie he was?
Yeah.
But this is the thing. It's just like one scene where he doesn't let them in, and then the rest of it is like,
"You're beautiful. Here, the world will finally understand."
Well, and then the critic guy at one point says,
"That's the thing. It's that dipping the toe in. Like they could have really looked at that. Like make him a human. Make him have flaws. Make him cheat on his wife. Like I don't know something." But he
no cheating.
No,
we're drawing the line there.
It was too good. She was too good to him.
I know.
Michelle?
Well, they were together. Like,
well, there was a picture in the paper. He must have cheated on her. It's front page news.
Jeff, tabloids
you didn't see the front page
everything.
news?
I know.
The beginning of the tabloid.
Why did you do that? I was saying goodbye.
Yeah. Oh.
Whoa, we've sold so many papers. Let's do more of this.
Oh.
And that was the start of the National Inquiry.
So, I know this movie is really resonating with like young, well, it's resonating with a lot of people. I don't want to say just young people, but I'm seeing it especially resonating.
It's that Moulin Rouge, it's that generation who, like, Moulin Rouge was my generation's Showman, and I think this is...
And I watch Moulin Rouge now, and I still love it, but now...
It's harder.
It's harder, and I see the flaws more, and I look at it, same with like Rent, I look at it like baby pictures, like it's like a snapshot of my life, and I'll love it for
and
that.
I love feeling that way that I felt when I first watched that, and I felt that sometimes during The Greatest Showman, but not collectively.
Yeah, so Moulin Rouge came out in 2001, right? And I saw it twice in the theater, and I'd never seen it again. I've never rewatched it, but I remember, harkening back to what you said, that feeling was awesome. I love Baz Luhrmann. I love the cinematography. I loved the world. It's like you go straight into a snow globe and you never come out until the end of the film.
And we really need that escape today.
Today's day and age. It's true.
But based on everything that I was hearing about Showman, because this was my first time seeing it, it was getting all these comparisons to Moulin Rouge, so I was expecting more of that. I was expecting more of an alternate reality. Because to me, musicals on film really, really work well in that when they create, like they do in Chicago, like they do in... like they did in Moulin Rouge. I'm sure there's many others that I can't think of.
And the transitions were excellent in Showman. Like when he grows up and then his face is in the reflection of the hat, like stuff like that. The transitions were
visually fantastic, but not to me, not nearly on the level of what Moulin Rouge was. And I guess that was my own expectation coming in because I heard comparisons.
I mean, I don't know. I think there's in a lot of ways this movie is superior to Moulin Rouge.
I'm sure
this
it is.
A big
Again, I haven't rewatched it.
I think it takes a rewatch of the Rouge.
If you rewatch Moulin Rouge, you're gonna be like, oh my god, can I just have a shot where I can look at the choreography?
Right.
Like, there's a lot of editing and a lot of that.
But Jim Broadbent's mustache is fantastic.
But
own movie.
I will say, one of the things that most of the dance numbers I loved in The Greatest Showman, but all those dance numbers with Michelle Williams' body double, because that was not her. That dance on the rooftop drove me crazy because it wasn't a dance. They were running back and forth, and he was flinging her around. It wasn't a dance. Like, it wasn't like, I felt like it was supposed to be like Fred and Ginger, and instead it was just like, Michelle Williams' body double.
He was impregnating her, because at the end of the song, she was...
Oh my god!
They're
It's
going
so
through
true.
the sheets.
Yes, exactly.
The sheets had choreo.
That's them having multiple orgasms.
We can beat that. Actually, we don't have to beat that.
That was the only dance number where I was like, can I just watch what you're doing?
But when in Tightrope, when he disappears...
Oh, I love that. I love that
She's so good. Michelle, I love it.
So what else? So we wish they would have gone further into sort of the difference between the white male establishment and...
It's the book. It can be a cartoon. It can be a fantasy.
Right.
But I feel like they were trying to do both. Like, they just needed to choose.
They dipped the toe, and they didn't quite do it.
Yeah. It didn't have to be this, but like, wow, wouldn't I have learned so much about the bearded lady if, like, Efron's character fell in love with her, or like something.
Well, it's
like
exactly why Bulging River needs to actually be in Waiting for Guffman.
Well, we can't get a director's cut of Waiting. Like there should be a director's cut of Waiting for Guffman. There isn't. You can only see the deleted scenes.
I think
I'm sure it's been done.
It's time.
But I bet you for this there will be a director's cut.
Yeah.
Get all the
well,
things that you're
this
looking for.
has so much. Like I said, like there are so many people who are resonating to it, and you know what? Like if you don't agree with our opinions, that's totally fine. We're like some old fogies who are like, man, the book.
But
and if
leave
you're
Michelle alone.
you leave Michelle alone. But you know, we have problems with it, and you can still like something and talk about its problems and its flaws. We're humans, we're nuanced, we can do that. So
And the fact that we can leave and talk about it with such passion and excitement shows that they did something right.
Musical is very, very difficult, especially on film. So I'm really lenient in that regard. I mean, of course, we have nitpicky things. We have things that we wished were better.
And I hope
but overall, bravo.
I hope it snowballs a lot more movie musicals, and I think it will. You know, we've been trying to kind of bring the movie musical back, since
And what a
Chicago.
risk! What a risk with an original
super big
musical.
risk.
And they did it. And
They did it, and it's
It was
like
fun.
what? It's like one of the top albums on Billboard, like
Such
the
a
top.
get the
like,
album. It's so good.
It's gonna be, for me, it's one of those movies where like I'll be able to rewatch it and just fast forward through
To the musical
the
numbers.
musical numbers.
I mean, the only frustration comes in what you kind of hoped it would be in certain moments. Like, if it had really gone
So
to the
close.
roof and been that. But
So
I mean,
close.
in reality, again, maybe not first time director, but pretty close.
Yeah.
I mean, that's tough.
Well,
that's really hard.
and it's funny too because no, I don't think they expected Keala Settle to become such a thing. Like everyone's obsessed with her now, so it's going to be interesting when they do the Broadway show because I think they're going to really try to pump up the bearded lady because she made her such an iconic character.
And let's hope they take the feedback from this film and fix the Broadway book.
And then when they do the movie based
Get
on
Harvey
the Broadway
Firestein
play,
to fix it, just like with Newsies.
so then the next film will be based on the Broadway musical based on the film. So
Right.
that will be even
In
better.
2050 or
That'll
something.
be just the perfect
Art
one.
imitating art,
Oh my
imitating
God,
art.
I can't.
There's money to be made.
Yeah, the Pasek and Paul formula for this film. It's singing something low and quiet. It's an intense little solo here, but then we bring it in more and we bring it in more, and then get to the chorus and we clap and we stomp and
There's
go.
always a part where you want to go knock, 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 especially during that song.
Yeah, and like
Wave it.
yeah, and then they're like whoa, whoa, millennial whoops, whoa, and then it's like one more intense quiet solo. Like every
Ladies
song.
and gentlemen.
I mean, that scene where she was at the hospital bed. She was at Zac Efron's hospital bed. I'm like,
She was so good.
She was crying. Like
She was
she's
good.
so good.
Like I said,
Zendaya.
quadruple.
The ensemble, like all of them playing the freak, like all of their dancing and stuff was freaking amazing.
Yeah.
And, you know.
There's a lot good. There was more good than there was bad. It's just hard when the book is bad because you just can't.
And if you can't,
yeah.
and if you can overlook it, cool. And if you can't, fast forward and watch the musical numbers. One of the things I liked about the score is that they did make it a point to have the songs tell the story.
Moved the plot.
It moved the plot. None of the songs, very few of them, were just there to be pretty. They all served a purpose, which is what songs should do in
Either
a
character
modern
development,
musical.
which we were starving for, or moving the plot along.
And you know, a lot of these problems would have been fixed with like a quick scene. You know, just like a quick scene with Keala Settle saying, I was born, and, you know,
Well, that's why
in
we're
a
critics.
tenement.
Yeah, well, but she couldn't have had a beard as a young girl. That must have come later,
You don't
right?
know what her
I was just
childhood
thinking, 'cause
was
she's
You
not
don't,
like-
when do you grow hair?
Not till you're 13 or so.
Well,
I still can't grow a beard. I'm sorry. I have no clue what that's like.
so in closing, you know what? The Greatest Showman's gonna be such a big freaking hit. It already is. So,
fun.
you know, it's fun. You'll like it. And if you had problems with it, just know you're not alone. I know a lot of people are going, how could you hate it? And it's like, we don't hate it.
We
Yeah.
don't.
We don't.
There's always middle ground.
So go see The Greatest Showman. Tell us what you think. Hopefully we're going to do more of these like first thoughts when it comes to seeing movie musicals or TV
The
musicals.
newest ones, right? The releases.
The fresh releases,
There's so
the
many new
hot
musicals
takes.
coming out all the time on the big screen.
This was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, Roger and Maureen, now go get a job.
No, I'm staying on the couch.
I'm gonna be the next greatest show woman.
At least I'm not painting my nails anymore.
Thank God.